the guy is right there. You talk about great officiating, at least on the field. You can't get any... Oh, that's classic.
That's the best one of the whole year so far.
Oh, my.
Of course, Odell Beckham earlier lost a battle with the kicking net, took one in the chops, comes back and gives it a kiss. There we go. We're all even now, kicking net.
That's his buddy.
That's great.
Here he is to save the day, but wrapping it up in his special way. Hey, throw in a preview show, add some alcohol and here we go. Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman.
Hola, senors! It is I, Senor Batman. I'm here for your week 5 wrap up in your week 6 preview show. Now, before we get to the usual show, there's been some, let's call them allegations of hatred from Senor towards Mr. One John Mikol, aka Richmond Russian. I'm just gonna cut to the screen now. You can see here his post. I'm gonna address each of his points because he seems to think I hate him. I don't hate you. But let's go through these points. So first point he gives is that he thinks I want my own team in the league, and since that he is the newest owner, it leaves a bad taste in my tequila. Well, you see, I love doing what I do. Now, do I wish I had a team in the league? Yeah, probably. But I'm fine sitting on the sidelines doing what I do because I do that better. If I played fantasy football every week, you know what would happen? There'd be a lot of people on IR starting on my roster because I just wouldn't. I'm drinking and partying and having the sex. I'm doing a bunch of shit. I ain't got time to set a lineup. But if I did, then yeah, I'd probably wish a team. But I wouldn't envy you. I wouldn't be bitching at you or pissed at you. I would want to face you for your spot in jousting with knives. Fencing. They call it fencing. I'd fence you for the spot and we just do it like that. That'd be fair, right? Anywho, so that's that point. Check mark, done. 2, he isn't happy, me being he, that I was a white wide receiver in high school football and thinks therefore I don't matter. This one was the one that really got me because I was like, are you insinuating that I am freaking racist against white people? Do you think I'm stupid? I am not stupid. I know who my audience is. It's white people. So of course I love white people. That's why I'm rich. That's why I'm famous, because of white people. When has the Mexicans ever done anything for me? Except for mi familia? I mean, let's be honest here. So, insinuating I'm racist, calm down. Let's calm down. What is this? Washington Post, New York Times? Like, what's going on here? Next 3. Number 3. He doesn't like the lack of Latino players on my roster, meaning Mikel's roster. Maybe if Theo Riddick was actually Teo Rodriguez or something. Here's the thing. There's not many Hispanic or Latino players in the NFL that are rosterable. I know how it goes. Like I said before, I don't give a shit what color your skin is or what you are. Just, it doesn't matter to me. But I would not hold it against you if, say, you did a roster of only black players because it's like they're really good at football. Now, there's white people that are good too. Just ask Mr. Hashtag White Receivers Matter, Rick Pucci. He'll tell you. There's some white players good, quarterbacks and stuff, few receivers, tight ends even, kickers. So there's a lot of white players. But I'm just saying, like, I don't care what. If your team is made up of a red person, a blue person, a black, I don't give a shit. And finally, maybe he just likes Sean Kylo and would like to have him as his little sidekick, kind of like a Senor Robin, if you will. Now, Sean Kylo is a very sexy man, no homo, of course. But I didn't pick him to beat you, just to pick him against you. And that's where this all kind of stems. You don't like my predictions. I call them as I see them, Mr. Mickle. I don't just make up some bullshit and go, oh, you know what? I don't like his team. I'm going to pick this. I truly thought Kylo was going to beat you. I thought you were going to have a bad week. You didn't. Well, you kind of did, but you didn't. You won. So congratulations. But I just call him how I sees him. I have nothing against you, sir. It's just a coincidence that I'm always picking against you. So I apologize. But that's my answer to you. So, Mr. Mickle, let's take this vodka and put it under the bridge and just let it go. Pull a Frozen and just let it go. Let it go. Don't be an asshole. Let it go. We'll be good. Just be good. I'm not saying when you're an asshole. You're not. You're a nice man. But so am I. So let's just let it be. Let's not take this further. Keep in mind, I am Senor Batman. So you don't want to push my trigger. My parents are dead for a reason. It makes me mad. So if I start thinking about it, you piss me off. Don't push me. That's all I'm saying. So we're going to transfer back to full screen so I can say this. Now it's time for your week 5 Ripe Up.
Ripe Up!
Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. So let's get to the week 5 wrap up. First up, basically one of my matchups of the week, I would say, Adrian Peterson versus Chronic Rosterbader. Now, Chronic Rosterbader gets the win. Now, keep in mind, this was first place for second place in Division Uno based on record and I believe points. Maybe not points, but because I think Mr. Whatever he calls himself this week, I'm so fucking retarded. I think that might have been second place in points. But regardless, based on wins, losses, this was first for second, and first prevails. David Johnson getting 32 points for Chronic Rosterbader. Big win for him. He moves to 5-0. Peterson, Adrian Peterson goes to 3-2. Now, before I go any further, just keep in mind, everyone in Division Uno has faced everyone in Division Uno. Everyone in Division Dos has now faced everyone in Division Dos. That being said, that means the next 3 weeks are the Cross Division Classic. One of my favorite times of the year where Division Uno faces off against Division Dos, and they fight. And it really changes the whole entire playoff race because you got a bunch of things that can happen there. So we'll get to that in a minute or in a little bit when we get to the preview show. But first off, for the wrap up, after the first little section, I know it's not an equal third, but I'm gonna call it thirds, even though it's not actually a third, because it's 5 games, then 3 games, then 5 games. That's our season, the regular season. Well, I'm gonna say sections in. There's 3 sections. You got your round 1 divisional matchups, Cross Division Classic, round 2. Well, after round 1, Chronic Rosterbader 5-0, Adrian Peterson 3-2. Next up, the person that thinks I hate them, Richmond Rush, beats the living shit out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You are really shitty. What the fuck? I mean, 80 points. What's going on? Like, what are you doing? Like, I picked you to win, and then you lose, and now Richmond Rush is accusing me of being some kind of prick. I don't like this. But regardless, Richmond Rush gets the win, and he goes to 4-1 as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who really looked like a really good team at one point. 1-4. I mean, had that one really high week. I think it was week 2. Yeah, it was high score. And hasn't done anything really since, except for lose. So yeah, that's the way that one goes. So Theo Riddick getting 23.2 points for Richmond Rush. I wasn't expecting that. That's why I picked against you. Okay, so like, hey, actually, no, let's take a look at this. What's actually happened here? Okay, so let's see what went differently. Rogers did a little worse than I thought. McCoy did about what I think he'd do. Riddick probably did double of what I thought he would do. Hopkins did way better than I thought he would do because I thought against, Minnesota he'd have like single-digit points. Tyler Williams, I wasn't expecting him to get 20 points. I mean, come on now. Dennis Pitta, 9 points. Oh, come on. Like, I guess that's fine. Deshaun Jackson, that's about where I thought he would, maybe a little better. Marvin Jones, I thought he'd do a little bit better. Broncos D, whatever. Same thing with Hopkins, whatever. Over here, though, Derek Carr, he did pretty good. Hill, I thought would do better than 1 point. Duke Johnson, I thought that's about what Duke Johnson is. Jarvis Landry I thought would do way better than 4 points, as was Steve Smith, but he got hurt. Zach Ertz I thought would be a little bit above this much. John Brown I thought would be way above this. Jacquizz Rodgers I would have said would have been a little less. And then Cardinals D, a little lower. So that's why. See, that's why, Mikkel. I ain't got nothing against you. I don't know why you got to do this to me. I thought we were cool. If you want to start a war, just go back and look at freaking Gotham of Mexico. You'll see. You'll see what happened there. I fucked up the Joker. I fucked up El Penguin. I beat them all up. I don't give a shit. So anywho, let's just move on. Welcome to Bohack's Pit versus hashtag. I said hashtag. Wide receivers matter. And Bohack does it again. He does it again. 102.6 to 90.3. He gets the victory because he does. Because this is true. This is the truth. Welcome to Bohack's Pit. Bohack's Pit is the curse of Bohack's Pit. He should change his name. That's a hint, Bohack, to Curse of Bohack's Pit. Because Bohack's Pit, you know what Bohack's Pit is? You get into a match with him, and it's on his terms. When you face him, it's on his terms. And he just sucks the energy out of your team. Like, put receivers and running backs, they all just don't do shit. I mean, let's take a look here. Julian Edelman, 6 points. 6 fucking points! Do you believe this shit? Brady's back, 6 points? Come on now. Another person. Freaking Derek Anderson against Tampa's shitty D. Can't get at least 10, 15 points? Frank Gore only getting 8. If you look at his past games, you can see it's his lowest game of the season. This came off an 18-week point performance and a 14.8 before that. Faces against Chicago and can't get even up to freaking 10. This is bullshit. I mean, Bohack, I gotta give it to you. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're pulling out the close victories, but man, I don't know what voodoo you're doing. Are you banging some witch? Like fucking making spells and shit? Cause some pagan lady or some shit? Cause Bohack's Pit, 102.6, 90.3 gets the victory. I don't know how he's doing it. He's just hovering around 100 or under 100. I'm sorry, wide receivers matter. You're the next victim. The only person to not be a victim is Craig Rosterbader, and he barely scored over 100. That was his worst week. And he's been up in the 140s almost every other week. I don't know what to tell you. I don't. I do not know what to tell you. Next up, Slay City Slayers versus I'm So Fucking Retarded. 128.2. Slay City Slayers gets the victory, almost renaming I'm So Fucking Retarded with 63.8 points. Hold on. Let's pull out a calculator. I'm going to pull out a calculator and fucking add this shit up because that is a freaking beatdown. So you got 128.2 minus 63.8. I ain't good at math. That's 64.4 points. He was 5.6 away. 5.6 points from being renamed. Closest one we've had this year. Biggest victory so far this year. So, kudos to Slay City Slayers, who seems to have gotten his team back on track. He is now 2-3. So Fucking Retarded, 0-5. Next up, high score alert. Ray Charles Moneyball, 167.6 to Martial Law's 125.5. Good week for Martial Law, but no one was stopping Ray Charles Moneyball this week. Ezekiel Elliott getting 30.6 points. Freeman got 19.8 for Martial Law. Ray Charles Moneyball moves to 2-3, as does Martial Law. Finally, in a barn burner of a matchup, Rake Session, 136.5. El Sacco, little bad luck, 123.3. Had a big score. You can see Sacco is going to be a contender. We'll see how he does in the Cross Division Classic. Rake Session scores just enough points to get the victory thanks to his newly acquired player, Amari Cooper. Man, Martial Law, I wish you had him. You throw him on your team, you maybe would have been, no, you probably still would have lost. But anywho, El Sacco moves to 2-3. Rake Session moves to 4-1. So take a look at the standings. Excuse me. Chronic Rossbader, 5-0, leading Division Uno. 4-1, Welcome to X Pit. moves back into second place, holding on to a playoff spot now. And then you got, just based on record, Peterson, Adrian Peterson 3-2, Stacey Slayers 2-3, wide receivers matter 1-4, and I'm so fucking retarded 0-5. If you go to points, you will see that Adrian Peterson, is the second highest scorer. So yes, he in fact would be owner of the wildcard spot. For Division Dos, two teams tied at top still. Rake Session and Richmond Rush, both 4-1. El Saco, Ray Charles Moneyball, and Martial Law, all 2-3. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you are 1-4 now. Holy shit, you're freaking sitting down at the bottom there. 1-4. Points for Rake Sessions first. Nick would in fact keep that third spot, that playoff spot, but he's got to be careful. Ray Charles Moneyball making some moves. So that is that. So let's go to our Facebook post. Just scroll up. Season tracker. Let's hope he did it. I think he did. So weekly high score, week 5 was McGovern. Then no King of the Hill yet. Survivor, Kylo was the one eliminated in week 5. Highest single week score, McGovern now owns. Largest margin of victory. Oh, I could have just looked it up right there. Lasky has it now by beating Luke Bartos in week 5. Longest win streak is still owned by Commissioner McFadden with 5. And we didn't have any new trades this week, so that's good. But still the same amount of money sitting there. So that's basically it. So that is your wrap-up. That was the last divisional matchup for round 1. Now we move on to the Cross Division Classic in this week's preview show.
Preview show.
All right, so first matchup on the docket. And it's a freaking barn burner of a matchup. 3-2 Peterson, Adrian Peterson, facing off against Richmond Rush. And wow, what a matchup it is. They're projecting Richmond Rush to get the victory. Let's see if I think he'll get the victory. And if I pick Adrian Peterson, it's not just because he brings Peach Cobbler to the draft, okay? Those shots were good. That's not why I'm picking him. There's no favoritism here, Mickle. Mr. Richmond Rush. Okay, there's no favoritism. Don't hate. It's okay. If I don't pick you, it seems to be working out for you. It really does, because I haven't picked and you won, so maybe I'll pick you this week and then you lose. Then you'll be like bitching at me, hey, Senor, don't fucking pick my team to win, because then I lose. All right. So, anywho, first up, Adrian Peterson has 2 huge matchups I see here. Roethlisberger versus Miami should be dynamite. Antonio Brown versus, itch my head, jeez. What do I got, lice? Antonio Brown versus Miami, also very good. Sproles against Washington, he's not really the running back, but he should have some success. Overall, I think he's got a pretty good thing. Starting in tight end is flex, not really the best. I would maybe even chance going with, Lockett would be one decision, or Booker. Booker's been getting more carries. Last week, he got, 6 carries, turned it into 7.9 points. People are texting me. All right, anywho. So, pretty good. Over here, Rodgers has been kind of shaky lately. I think he'll be good for 15 points at least. Maybe more. Depends how it goes. McCoy against San Francisco. That's a great matchup. Riddick, I kind of feel like he's not so good that he's matchup proof, but he's got such a diverse role that he's bulletproof, or matchup proof, not bulletproof. I'm sure if you shot him, he'd be bleeding. But anywho, DeAndre Hopkins versus Indy, much better matchup than last week. Probably should be one of his bigger weeks of the year. Doug Baldwin against Atlanta. I'm not really a big Doug Baldwin fan, but we'll see what happens. Dennis Pita, yeah, he's going to face the Giants, so that should be good. Marvin Jones, Sammy Coates. I think Sammy Coates is kind of a boomer bust. He is facing Miami, so that could be good. I got to be honest here, and I'm not just picking it. I'm not just picking him because he gave me shit and called me out and made me seem like some kind of jerkwad that just picks against him all the time. But Richard Russ, I think, gets the victory. It's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be like a 15, 20-point rut like they're kind of showing here, but I do think it will be close. It kind of come down to how many points Roethlisberger and Brown can really put up. I think if they put up a bunch of points, then that might be a different story. But for right now, I'm going to go with Richmond Rush. And if you lose the Richmond Rush, that's on you, bro. That's on you. Next up, 0-5, I'm so fucking retard it versus Martial Law. And they're projecting Martial Law to get a victory. So let's see if I think he'll get the victory. First up, picks up Marcus Mariota against Cleveland. Should be a good matchup. Came in off a big one. Forte versus Arizona, not the best. Same thing with Gordon against Denver. Denver is not as scary of a run D as you would think, but they're still good. Then Green versus New England. Now, I could see Green being very involved just because New England's going to make them stay involved. I don't think Cincinnati's going to get ahead and kind of pull away and be able to rely on running. So, that being said, I don't think that'll happen. So, therefore, I do think Green will have a decent game. Parker versus Pittsburgh should be a decent matchup. They're going to have to throw. Parker's the deep threat. I bet you they'll be targeting him a bunch. Dwayne Allen versus Houston should be decent, except Houston is tough against defenses, so we'll see how that goes. Terrence West has kind of pretty much won that job for himself. Even with Kenneth Dixon coming back, West has just been so good, or good enough lately, to kind of hold on to that job. Royal against Jacksonville, I feel like that'll be a game that both teams will be trying to win to the very last second, so Royal should be involved often. Texans D versus Indy. Indy is allowing the most sacks in the league, so Texans D should feast on that. Famine. Jesus Christ, Senor. You need to stop drinking before you record. Anywho, feast. They should feast, not famine. They're not going to starve. They're going to hunger and eat their way to like 1,000 sacks. Over here, Dak Prescott starting. I don't know he's benching Cousins. But whatever. Dak Prescott versus Green Bay should be decent. He's been pretty good all year. I mean, first week, kind of getting everything figured out, but he's been solid since then. Devonta Freeman versus Seattle should be tough. Gurley versus Detroit should be okay. Benjamin versus New Orleans should be good. Pryor versus Tennessee should be good. Gronkowski, why is this? What the hell? What the hell? Did you guys see that? They're just popping shit up at me. Anyways, Rob Gronkowski against Cincinnati should be good. I think last week he took one step to being better. If Hill is out, Bernard should be a huge play for him because he's going to get a lot more play. Coleman against Seattle, I think he'll actually do better than Freeman this week. So, ultimately, I hate to say it, but just based on matchups, I gotta... It's close, but I think Martial Law will get the victory, and I think it'll be close, kind of like they're saying, but again, I would not be surprised in the least if the lose streak gets beaten by I'm so fucking retarded, and he gets the victory. He's got some good matchups. Those good matchups need to pan out because I think his running backs are going to struggle this week. But we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with Martial Law. Next up, first place in both divisions. Match of the week. Facing off against each other. Chronic Rosterbaiter 5-0. Rake Session 4-1. Now, Rake Session definitely wants to get the victory this week. Move to 5-1 and tied for the lead in the league. Now, did that really matter in hindsight? No, it really doesn't matter as far as playoffs go. But I'm sure he'd like to beat this win streak. So, you look at the two teams now, something to point out. Mike Evans, Vikings D, who have been two of his best players for Chronic Rosterbaiter, on bye. He's also got Rudolph, but you probably would have gone with Walker anyways against Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland sucks, so... But let's take a look at it. Palmer versus the Jets. Great matchup. Palmer has, though, if you look before, he's had some... I mean, these aren't great matchups, Buffalo and LA, but they're not terrible either. So, he should have done decent, and he didn't. So, Palmer, coming off the concussion, can he get back to shape in form of what he was like last year or even earlier this season, like week 1 and 2? I think he will against the Jets. Hold on, need a drink. David Johnson, I'll let you figure that one out. Also facing the Jets. Now, Jets are a good run defense, but David Johnson also catches the ball. So I'm expecting David Johnson to have a pretty good game. Crowell against Tennessee could be rough. It could be rough for Crowell. Jeffrey, if they can figure it out this week how to get him the ball, I mean, he's not even top targets, and he's like their best receiver. I don't know what's going on in Chicago, but I believe Jeffrey will probably do what he's been doing every week, 8 to 10 points, just kind of sitting in the middle. If maybe something changes and he gets a touchdown, he goes up to like 16, 17. We'll see what happens. Beckham against Baltimore should be pretty good. Walker against Cleveland should be a great matchup. Bobby Rainey, he's got a role in that offense as the passing back. You can see what he's done since he's been the starter since what's-his-face went out, Shane Vereen, 10 points each week. I think he'll probably repeat somewhere around there again. Devontae Adams, if he gets in the end zone, should be good. Steelers D against Miami, that should be a good matchup. And then Vinatieri might get him 20 million points again. I mean, you seen what this guy did last week? 23 points? Like, geez Louise, man, calm down. Then on Rake Sessions' team, not starting Matt Ryan, instead going with Carson Wentz against the Washington defense. So that should be a decent matchup for him. I'm sure he'll get somewhere between 15 and 20. Next up, C.J. Anderson, losing a little bit of his job to Devontae Booker, but I still think he'll be okay against San Diego. I feel like the Denver Broncos should be in control of that game most of the time, so they'll be running more. DeMarco Murray against Cleveland, I mean, Murray might put up 80 points. I don't know. Demaryius Thomas versus San Diego. Thomas, now, that's the thing. If they are in control of the game, Rake Sessions probably going to be hoping it's because Demaryius Thomas had something to do with them getting ahead. If not, if it's a Emmanuel Sanders show, guess what? Thomas might have a bad game. Cooper versus Kansas City. Kansas City's got good corners like Marcus Peters, and they got Eric Berry in the back and the defensive backfield. So we'll see, but Oakland just seems to always make it work. So I'm sure Cooper will be just fine. Olsen is a monster, so he'll be fine. Cobb, as long as he plays, which I believe he's playing, I believe that I haven't seen anything say nothing that he's not. So, anywho, but as long as he plays, he should be fine. Although he has been shitty until last week. I mean, last week he did pretty good, but every week before that, so I'm not expecting huge things out of him against Dallas. I mean, Dallas is pretty good, so. Matt Jones versus Philadelphia. Honestly, I don't know if Matt Jones will really do that great, but he's definitely flex-worthy. Titans D against Cleveland, that's another great matchup. So, you're like, Senor, you're right, this is match of the week material. Two high-powered teams going up against each other. And I'm going to give the victory to Rake Session. And the reason why is, well, for one, they're projecting the win. Projections don't mean shit, and really, if you think about it. But I think that what's going to hurt Crack Rosterbader this week is he doesn't have Mike Evans. He doesn't have Vikings D. He doesn't have, well, Kyle Rudolph isn't really important. But, Vikings D sitting here. Maybe his Jeffries maybe doesn't have to start Devontae Adams or Bobby Rainey. He has, Jeffrey as his flex, which Jeffrey's pretty much just flex worthy at this point. Maybe he gets the victory. Crowell with a better matchup would maybe help him. But he really doesn't have really any, you don't really see any matchups here where you're like, oh, that's going to be interesting. He probably won't do as good as normal. Over here, Crowell just gets Tennessee. That one alone, he didn't do good last week when he had a bad matchup against New England. So, Tennessee is a good run defense. I would be surprised if they, do it. Now, Tennessee aren't that great on offense, so maybe the game stays close enough. Who knows? But, regardless, I think Rake Session gets the victory and moves to 5-1, and Kronk Russell gets his first loss. Next up, Slay City Slayers versus Ray Charles Moneyball. Ray Charles Moneyball predicted to win. We'll go through this a little quicker so you guys aren't here for an hour. Drew Brees facing off against Carolina. Decent matchup. Mark Ingram against Carolina. Not as good as a matchup. Also on the injury report. Same thing with Blount, but he's facing Cincinnati. Also not the greatest matchup. Allen Robinson against Chicago. Chicago's been surprisingly good against the pass this year. So I don't know if Allen Robinson's going to have a huge game. I think he'll be fine, but I'm not expecting anything big. Crabtree, I think Crabtree or Cooper will have the big game. So it just kind of depends on what happens there. Jordan Reed, I know he was being treated for a concussion or was thought to have a concussion maybe. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, he has been diagnosed with a concussion. So, Reed might be out. Let's see who you would have as tight end as a backup. He doesn't, so you'd have to pick someone up. Oh, he has Charles Clay. Excuse me. He does have Charles Clay. So, Charles Clay against San Francisco, so that's not the worst matchup. Crowder against Philly. Quincy Ununwa. Eagles D. Caleb. So, nothing. I don't see. Here's the thing I already don't like about Stacey Slater's lineup. No one there makes me go, that's a great matchup. That's gonna get exploited. He's gonna have really good points. I mean, there's nothing here. Maybe Eagles D against Washington, but that's a defense. So that's kind of. Now over here, Luck versus Houston. Luck's been fine just about every week. I mean, he hasn't really had too many bad weeks. Denver, San Diego. San Diego had Verrett back then. They don't now. But the last few weeks he's been fine. So I think he'll be fine again. Elliott against Green Bay. Green Bay is a tough run defense. But I do think Elliott will still do okay. Howard against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is better, but they're not great. So I think Howard will be good. Fitzgerald against the Jets should be great. Sanders for San Diego. I personally, if I had to pick a receiver from Denver to do good tonight on Thursday Night Football, it would be Emmanuel Sanders. He's been getting more targets lately, so he's rolling with Bennett one more week against Cincinnati. Kelsey in his flex. Tajee Sharp against Cleveland. Don't know why. Well, I guess he really doesn't have anyone else. It's just kind of the way it is right now. Wait a minute, what? Jacquizz Rodgers? Oh, bye. That's why. Anyway, so he's rolling out Sharp. Against Cleveland might be okay. So he's probably pretty obvious who I'm picking. I'm going Ray Charles Moneyball. I don't think Stacey Slater pulls off the upset. Some players would really have to. I just feel like neither of them have like any really super great matchups, but I do think Ray Charles Moneyball has some good matchups. So we'll give him the victory. Next up, welcome to Ballhack's Pit versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, here's the thing I see here. This is one thing I can see here. Now, they're projecting a 1 point difference, basically. Actually, less, a 0.9 point difference. 112.1 for Bohack, 111.2 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is going to be close, is what they're thinking. Now, the one thing I can maybe logic out of this is that welcome to Bohack's Pit, the curse of Bohack's Pit. He brings people down to his level, and when they're down here, he can take advantage of that and still win. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he's on the struggle bus right now. He hasn't been doing shit lately, so he can't be brought down. He's already down with Bohack, so it's kind of like Bohack can't bring him down, so he's already where he needs. So you see what I'm saying? So I don't know if that will work. So let's take a look here. Russell Wilson gets Atlanta. Atlanta did pretty good last week on defense against Denver, so I don't think Wilson's going to have a huge game. Lamar Miller against Indy. If it's not this week, I don't know when it will be. So I'm thinking Lamar Miller will be okay. I'm not sold he's going to be great. He's getting a bunch of carries, but I just don't know. Howard had a good game last week against Indy. I think Lamar Miller will be pretty good. Lacey, if he plays against Dallas is not terrible. So Lacey, I think, will be and I bet you they'll kind of limit him anyways if he does play. Cooks against Carolina should be okay. Matthews against Washington should be pretty good. Well, although Norman will probably be on Matthews, or, you would think. So Miller against Jacksonville. Sterling Shepard against Baltimore. Tavon Ross against Detroit. So Bohack's Pit is Bohack's Pit's team. It's just the normal guys. No one on bye. So nothing there. If, Lacey is out, I'm assuming he would probably start. Oh, he's got Starks. So he'd probably start Starks or Chris Thompson, I'd imagine. Over on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Blake Bortles versus Chicago. Like I said earlier, Chicago's a better pass defense than you would think. Jeremy Hill versus New England. Now, I thought Jeremy Hill was hurt. I had read that he was hurt. I guess he fully practiced, so he's fine. So, back what I said about Giovanni Bernard, now it's a wish-wash. You don't know. It doesn't change my mind on who's going to win that match. Then TJ Yeldon versus Chicago. Now, they're not as good on run, but I don't think Jacksonville, and it's at home. So, Yeldon, I just don't think Yeldon is that great of a player. I mean, he's starting like, hey, he's been okay, but he's not been great. Curley starting against Buffalo. That's kind of just a whatever. It's kind of, we don't know what's going to happen. Kaepernick's the new starter. We don't know who he's going to favor. So if it's Curley, maybe it works out. If it's not, he's fucked. Zach Ertz versus Washington should be pretty good, I would imagine. Jeremy Maclin versus Oakland should be pretty good. John Brown versus Jets should be great. So should Cardinals versus great. So I'm going to pick, I mean, it's not really a huge upset, but they are projecting him to lose. But I'm going to go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles. And the reason why is just matchups. I just feel like, this can be a theme for this week. Matchups. We're in the middle of the season now. We're getting right to the center. After this week, we're at the middle of the season. So I think that, you kind of know what some of these guys are going to do, what some are not. I think it really comes down really to what Wilson and Miller do for Bohack. I don't really know how else to say it. It's kind of, if they can persevere with their matchups, great. If they can't, then I think more Ninja Bortles wins, and I think that's what will happen. Finally, hashtag white receivers matter versus El Sacco. Now, let's take a look at this. They are projecting El Sacco to win, 127.4 to 124.5. Both have lost their last matchup. Wide receiver Manners has gone on a losing streak of 3. He's really struggling, had some bad weeks, scored under 100 2 weeks in a row. Can he get back on track? Let's take a look. Cam Newton versus New Orleans should be fine. As long as he plays, should be fine. Jamal Charles versus Oakland. Charles he's back. They say the training wheels off. He's ready to go. If that's true, Charles I think will do good. Frank Gore against Houston. I don't think that'll be a great matchup, but I don't think he'll do terrible. He's persevered before. I mean, against Denver, he got 13. So, like I said, Denver's not the greatest run defense, but I kind of put them on line with the Houston run defense as well. They're good. They're not amazing. They're not scary. You don't look like you should. I feel like you shouldn't be looking at Denver defense and going, oh man, I shouldn't start that running back. No, you just take a chance and just expect maybe rescind your expectations back a little bit. Then Edelman for Cincinnati. You got to think Edelman's going to get involved, right? I mean, he's got to. I mean, I feel like it might be an Edelman week just based on the fact that last week wasn't. So, Joy Nelson kind of had a bad week last week, and I think it'd be fitting for Joy Nelson to go off against El Sacco and cost him another win. I mean, Nelson's been fucking El Sacco in the ass for a long time. So, I mean, he still talks about it. If you would have caught that pass, I'd be champion. You know what? He's right. And Nelson, now he faces Nelson this week, and maybe that helps wide receivers matter win. So we'll see. Next up, Kobe Fleener. Kind of a wish-wash there. He's been like all over the place this year. So, had that one great week against Atlanta, and then hasn't done shit. So hopefully the bye week they figured it out, at least for wide receiver matter's sake. Ryan Matthews against Washington should be good. Willie Snead versus Carolina should be good. Patriots versus Cincinnati. That should be decent, I would think. Over on El Sacco, Tom Brady versus Cincinnati. I'm not expecting him to do as well as he did last week when he had like 30 points, like 29.6 points. But I do think he'll do good. I think he'll definitely be over 20 points. Same thing with Le'Veon Bell. Miami sucks, so Le'Veon Bell probably goes off. Christine Michael against Atlanta. That one I don't think he goes off. I think he'll be okay. Same thing with Julio Jones versus Seattle. I think he'll be good, but I don't think that'll be him, wiping the floor with someone. He'll probably be closer to what he did last week when he had 3. Well, not like last week. Last week was 3.9. I think he'll be closer to like 10. Brandon Marshall versus Arizona is not a good matchup, so I don't think he'll do that great. Barnes versus Tennessee. Gary Barnes is kind of just one of those players where 1 week he's this, 1 week he's that. Last 3 weeks, though, he's been around 10 points, so you'd pretty much expect that. Fuller, I think, will do great this week. White against Cincinnati. Somebody likes to pass to him, so it's going to happen. Ravens against Giant, I think that's potentially disastrous. Giants have got that high-powered enough offense that if they can get it clicked and get it clicked in and get going, Ravens D might be in trouble. So we'll see what happens there. This one's tough. I gotta admit, this one's really tough. There's some good matchups on both sides. But honestly, I'm going to have to it's so close. I'm going to go with hashtag wide receivers matter. I think he bounces back this week. I do think it'll be really close, though. I do really think this one will be close. I don't think anyone's getting blown out on this matchup. Both teams, both have people with Newton and Charles over here, Brady and Bell. It might be come down to who can do better of those two. Edelman and Julio, add those two guys in there. Nelson and Marshall. They almost have similar teams if you look. So they got a great quarterback, really good number 1 running back, like a top 15, top 20 running back for both sides, depending on who they're facing. A great receiver. Julio, I'd give the edge here. But Nelson, I'd give the edge over Marshall. So, decent receiving core, iffy tight end, decent flex spots. The better defense, I think, is on this side. But it'll be close. But I think wide receivers matter. Gets your victory. And that's week 6 for you. That's your week 6 preview. So, let's go through it. We went through, I addressed John Mickle. Hopefully settled that score. I mean, if not, let me know. We can go around. We can figure it out. Then we did the week 5 wrap-up, which was the last week of the divisional matchups for round 1. So we wrapped all that up. Then we did the week 6 preview show. There's all 3 things. So that's basically all I have for you. This video is going to probably be like an hour long. I apologize, but I had shit to take care of today. I appreciate everyone who watches these videos. I really do. So if you watch it, give it a like so I know you watch it. So, but even if I get 0 likes, I'm still going to make the videos. So, whatever. But until then, until next week, I wish you all good luck. Health upon all of you. I wish no injuries to no one. And have a great weekend. Adios!